how do you actually overcome the fear of failure? Well, first and foremost, we need to understand what your fears are. Then we need to unpack where they began. What beliefs and labels are you attaching to the fear? And then can we start to get some steps towards overcoming the fear? We're going to be talking about all of that and more, but stick around for point number 4 because that's going to be the most useful by far. So, fear.
Fear.
I don't
A
want to
label?
I don't want to get too like cliche here and around the self-development-y acronyms and whatever, but a lot of people say it as, false evidence appearing real. But from the work that I've done with clients over the years, it's usually put onto you by somebody else or it's through external experience.
Yeah.
So if, for instance, your parents are walking you through the park when you're a youngster and they say, by the way, dogs are terrifying. Don't go near dogs. They're awful, because they might have been bitten by one as a kid. This is external interference. You go down to the park, the dog runs over and starts going fucking mental and barking at you. Straight away, mum and dad said, now I've got evidence that the belief is real or that the fear is real because I can see it in front of me.
Yeah, because they're putting the label on all dogs.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, equally, what can happen is, though, it can go another way. So mum and dad might say dogs are amazing. Dogs are friendly, they're kind, they're loving. And then one runs up to you in the park and then it bites you. So now you formed your own belief through external experience. So, of course, you could do the alternative. If mum and dad said dogs are loving and friendly, and then it runs over, rolls on its back for its tummy rubbing, then you play with it. Dogs are lovely. You could say, dogs are vicious and they're horrible. It runs over, rolls on its back for its tummy doing, right? So then you go, hang on a minute, what mum and dad said might not be correct now. So you can start to doubt their belief and form your own through the external experience. So a lot of them can be formed that way. Sometimes we have fear about things that we don't even know will ever come into contact with, right? I know intellectually that I'm not going to go swimming with sharks in open water because there's enough evidence out there to say that'd be a fucking stupid idea. So there's no external interference, I guess, in the sense of anyone close to me, but through media, through film, through other examples of people being eaten by sharks, there's enough evidence there to form a fear. But the only fears we're born with are fears of loud noises and the fear of heights.
Really? Is that what we're born with?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
And then the other two fears that come in as we get older are
Do we
the
know
fears,
where that comes from? Obviously,
not
it's
sure
just part
on
of
that.
human psychology. Like,
Yeah, but even then, it's not. If someone came up behind you now with an air horn, you'd jump. It's a loud noise.
yeah, probably shit myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so I don't think we ever lose that. But people obviously will lose the fear of heights by doing skydives and by doing free running and things like that. So you can overcome that. I don't think you'll ever overcome. Not so. I'm not fearful someone's going to let an air horn off, but it will make me jump.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to more adulthood, we have the fear of loss of love and the fear of not being enough.
Fear of rejection, things like that.
Because then you'll feel not enough and you'll feel loss of love.
Or fear of failure. So if it's like a fear of failure, like obviously it's A game, peak performance, high performance. If it's a fear of failure of someone starting a business, like how would... So the first step would be, as you said there, to understand... It's unpacking it, isn't it? Unpacking where this fear is coming from, what's driving it. So it could be like someone's got a fear of starting the business or the business succeeding. But when you unpack it, this fear actually goes way back to something else. It's got nothing. It's got fuck all to do with the business, isn't it? It's got nothing to do with that. It's something else, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they're labelling it as fear.
Yeah, I just say, what do you mean? And they go, a lot of people go, running out of money. I said, is that what failure means, running out of money? Like, yeah, I said, well, they print more money. They don't print time. So what's really happening here? Oh, I'll probably feel like an idiot. And what happens when you feel like an idiot? Well, I just don't feel good enough. And what's your earliest memory of not being good enough? Oh, when I used to get picked on at school. Right, who'd you get picked on at school? Oh, Joe Bloggs and Dave Smith. Right, so really you're fearful of the younger self over what Joe Bloggs and Dave Smith are going to say, potentially. They don't care about you anymore. You don't have to live the life of a vulnerable 7-year-old in the playground anymore. We can live in our present. We can be the adult around this. So it's okay to identify it without judgment, but we need to move forward and we need to bring in more helpful beliefs and more helpful labels. Otherwise, you're going to be paralyzed by this fear of failure, when in reality, you're just fearful that I'm not actually good enough and that I'll be made to look a fool.
Yeah.
Because it takes me back to that younger self.
Okay, so then that's point one. Next point, next step.
So, well, it's understanding what it is,
What it
number
is.
one. What is really going on, and you need to write this down. So you could write down 5 or 6 things to say, this is what's actually happening with me. I feel vulnerable when I fail. I feel like an idiot. I don't feel good enough. My father was a success. I want to be successful. Whatever. Write it all down.
Yep.
Then you need to understand where the fear began, as I've just alluded to there.
Yep.
Oh, it began when I was 7. It began when I was 8. It began with, and again, we're not talking about all these fears around animals and shit, right? We're talking more around people that are peak performers of fear of, like you said, failure, but fear of success. Might be fear of public speaking.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened? Oh, at school, when they go to read, I really stumbled on my words and I wasn't a confident reader. So I've attached negativity to that. So I don't really feel comfortable talking in front of people. Right, okay. So this is a skill issue, because then people say I don't have any confidence. Confidence comes through repetition of doing something well over and over again. So you don't have to conquer your fear by doing a speech on stage in front of 2,000 people. You can begin, which I'll get to in a separate point, but you can begin to do that, make the steps towards that over time.
Okay. And then next step after that?
So the next step after that is just asking yourself, what's a more helpful way of looking at this? Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in paralysis your whole life. If you just keep looking backwards, you're going to get a sore neck, right? But if you keep looking backwards your whole life, you can't physically move forwards. It's just not going to happen. So what we have to do is start putting in some more helpful beliefs. I am capable of being a good public speaker. This doesn't have to define me forever. I don't want to be held back by this anymore, right? I can become confident because I might be confident in other areas. So understanding what it is, where it began, bringing some more helpful thoughts. They're the first 3 steps.
Would the fourth one be to just take action?
The fourth one is absolutely to take
It's
action.
always about the action taking. It's the
Correct.
doing, isn't it?
Yeah, because you can't try and pay your mortgage. You pay your mortgage.
Yeah.
Right? You can't try and get dressed. You get dressed. So you can't try and overcome fear. You just do it. You have to do it.
Yeah.
So, but again, step by step. So if you are fearful of public speaking, start to practice in your house when no one's around. Then, next time there's a business meeting at work, oh, John, Steve, you wouldn't mind coming into this conference room with me, would you, while I just read out these lines and while I practice this and practice that, would you? Yeah, I can do that. Okay, great. Slowly build it, step by step, brick by brick, whatever you want to call it. It's going to take a bit of time, right?
Yeah.
Then after you do that, you then start to feel more confident. Because when people have said to me before, I wish I had your confidence when it comes to public speaking, like when we were at the retreat, for example. Two clients said to me, because they said that their role has some level of presenting.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I was as confident as you. So what do you mean? I'm not fishing for compliments here when I ask this, but what do you mean specifically? Well, just the way that you do public speaking. But what do you mean? Get really specific.
Is it the way you stood? Is it the words you're using? Is
so it's the way you command the room. I said, right, so my physical presence, it helps I'm 6'4" and 110 kilos, right? The physically I am bigger than a lot of people. But I've seen public speakers that might be 5'0" that can hold the stage.
Yeah.
Nothing about that. Presence isn't that. So look at the size of Prince, for example, right? So it comes down to commanding it with how you stand. Then it might be that you gesticulate. It might be that you need to learn how to articulate your point better. It might be the pacing of which you talk and not rushing like I'm doing now, right? So
we're going into
a bit
meditation.
creepy. Yeah, so, it might be the pacing that you associate to confidence. It might be the way that I can project. It might be the clarity of which I speak with. I don't know, but I said you need to understand what it is, though. Because if you don't understand what it is, then you can't develop the skill.
Yeah.
You're just going to walk around going, I wish I was as confident as Joe Bloggs. I need to be able to articulate my point better. I need to be able to project better. I need to slow myself down when I'm speaking publicly. Then when I practice that, I will become better. So naturally, I'll feel more confident when doing public speaking next time.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
that specific bit. It's
Correct.
not the whole thing. Yeah.
That's it, mate.
Love it.
So, yeah, but I think that most people, unfortunately, get crippled by the fear because they're not even aware. They just label it as, and then other people around them affirming the fear.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, I know, public speaking's horrible, isn't it, mate? Oh, yeah, fucking hell, it is. Straight away, it just backs it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, oh, I hate that too. So that means that you can't do it. You're putting a limitation on other people naturally. So if you're surrounded by negative Nancys that don't know any better as well, you compare to what you see. So if you're surrounding yourself with inspirational public speakers, of course you're going to feel like you can do public speaking because these guys are fucking amazing. So maybe 0.5 bonus tip, find a mentor to help you. Go on a course.
Yeah.
You know, start studying it, whatever. But either way, just fucking take the action.
Take action. So there we have it. Smith has very kindly broken down the steps to take to how to overcome fear. Obviously, this is more related to, this is not necessarily fear of spiders and things like that, but it's more related to high performance, taking the action, becoming successful, etc., etc. If you like this video, then don't forget to check out this video over here where Smith talks about unlocking your potential through changing your mindset. If you have any comments, how you've overcome fear, then please leave a comment below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.